The three moons of Helios 12 hung like mismatched pearls in the rust-colored sky as Torrin Reed adjusted his concealment cloak and slipped between the shadows of the mining colony's outer district. The air smelled of ion exhaust and cheap synthetic alcohol, a familiar cocktail in these frontier worlds where laws bent easily for the right price. "Just get the parts and leave," he muttered to himself, feeling the weight of his blaster against his hip. His ship needed a new gravitational stabilizer, and Helios 12's black markets were notorious for rare tech. What he hadn't expected was stumbling upon Governor Vex's private auction in the abandoned processing plant. Through a cracked window, Torrin observed the gathered crowd, mining executives, off-world collectors, and several of Vex's uniformed officers. At the center of the room stood a transparent containment field, and within it, a woman, unlike any he'd seen before. Her skin was a deep violet that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, hair like spun amethyst falling in waves past her shoulders. Most striking were her eyes, large, luminous, and the color of twilight. She stood tall, despite the energy restraints binding her wrists, scanning the room not with fear, but with quiet defiance. "Next item," announced the auctioneer, a thin man with cybernetic implants crawling up his neck. "Rare specimen captured near the outer rim. Preliminary tests indicate telepathic abilities, currently suppressed by our proprietary restraint technology. Bidding starts at 50,000 credits. Torrin's hand instinctively tightened around his blaster. He wasn't a hero, just a smuggler with enough bad decisions behind him to fill a cargo bay. But something in the alien woman's gaze caught him, held him. When her eyes swept across the room and momentarily locked with his, he felt a whisper touch his mind, gentle but urgent. "Help me," the whisper said, though her lips never moved. Before you could reconsider, Torrin had activated his ship's remote systems. 3 minutes later, the colony's power grid surged and failed, plunging the auction house into darkness. In the ensuing chaos, he moved quickly, disabling 2 guards with silent efficiency before reaching the containment field. "Who are you?" the alien woman asked as he worked to disable her restraints. "Someone making a terrible decision," Torrin replied, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "Name's Torrin. You got one?" "Lyra," she said, rubbing her wrists as the energy cuffs deactivated. "Why are you helping me?" The containment field flickered and died. "Good question. Ask me when we're not about to be executed." As they fled through the service corridors, alarms blaring behind them, Torrin noticed something strange. The violet markings on Lyra's skin were beginning to glow faintly, pulsing with each step she took. When a guard appeared before them, Lyra simply raised her hand and the man collapsed, unconscious. "That's convenient," Torrin said, eyebrows raised. "The restraints suppressed my abilities, but they're returning now. Not fully, but enough." They reached Torrin's ship, a modified light freighter named Horizon's Edge, just as Governor Vex's security forces flooded the docking bay. As engines fired and they tore away from the colony, Lyra placed her hand against the viewport, watching the world shrink beneath them. "They captured me because of what I am, but they don't understand what I could become." Torrin set the navigation computer for the crystalline deserts of the planet's unpatrolled southern hemisphere. "And what exactly are you?" Lyra turned to him, her violet skin now illuminated with intricate patterns that hadn't been visible before, her eyes holding mysteries deeper than space itself. "Something that was meant to be free. Something that was waiting for you." Midnight Confessions. The ancient temple rose from the landscape like a forgotten titan, its stone walls etched with symbols that seemed to shift when viewed from the corner of one's eye. After 3 grueling days crossing the crystalline desert and the perilous salt flats that bordered the void seas, Torrin and Lyra stood before the massive entrance, their supplies dwindled to almost nothing. Home sweet home, Torin quipped, eyeing the crumbling architecture, at least until Governor Vex's drones lose our trail. Inside, the temple opened into a vast circular chamber, its ceiling lost to shadows above. At the center stood a dais of black stone, inlaid with veins of luminescent material that pulsed with a faint rhythm, like a heartbeat. This was a nexus point, Lyra explained, her voice hushed with reverence as she approached the dais. A place where my ancestors could connect with the cosmic energies that flow between worlds. The moment her violet fingers touched the stone, the veins of light flared brilliantly, casting her silhouette in sharp relief. The markings beneath her skin responded, glowing with increasing intensity, until she seemed wrapped in a web of living light. "It recognizes you," Torin observed, keeping a cautious distance. Lyra nodded, eyes closed in concentration. "It's been dormant for so long, waiting." Her expression shifted between pain and wonder. "The knowledge here, it's overwhelming." As night fell outside, they made camp near the dais, the pulsing lights providing both illumination and an unexpected warmth that kept the temple's chill at bay. Torin shared their last rations, nutrient bars and purified water, watching as Lyra periodically returned to the dais, communing with whatever consciousness resided within. "You still haven't told me what happens after," he said, when she finally rejoined him. "If this place gives you the power you seek, what then?" Lyra sat beside him, closer than necessary in the spacious chamber. The light beneath her skin had dimmed to a soft glow that highlighted the delicate structure of her face. "My people believe in balance above all else," she answered, "not vengeance. I would free those of my kind still enslaved, then seal away the knowledge that made us targets." She hesitated. "After that, I don't know. For the first time, I could choose my own path." "Freedom's overrated," Torin said with a wry smile. "Mostly it's just another word for nowhere to belong." Her twilight eyes studied him with unexpected tenderness. "You've been running for a long time. It's what I'm good at." "Is it? Or is it just what's familiar?" She reached for him, fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "I've seen your light, Torin Reed. You hide it well, but it burns in you still." The touch of her hand sent warmth cascading through him, not just physical, but something deeper, as though she had reached past skin and bone to touch something essential within him. Without thinking, he caught her wrist, not to push her away, but to hold her there, anchored to him. "What do you see when you look at me?" he asked, voice rough with emotion he rarely permitted himself. "Someone who makes difficult choices, someone who left everything behind rather than become what others demanded." Her free hand came to rest over his heart. "Someone whose path has been leading here, to this moment, though neither of us knew it." When their lips met, it was like worlds colliding, gentle yet catastrophic. The luminescence beneath Lyra's skin flared with sudden brightness, patterns swirling and changing as though responding to the quickening of her pulse. Torin felt that whisper touch in his mind again, stronger now, a bridge forming between their consciousness that made the kiss more than physical, a sharing of memories, fears, hopes. They sank down together onto the blankets, the ancient temple bearing silent witness as they learned each other with increasing urgency. Her skin cool against his heat, his calloused hands reverent against her softness. The patterns of light across her body intensified with her pleasure, casting shadows that danced across the stone walls as they moved together. After, lying entwined beneath his jacket, Lyra traced idle patterns on his chest. She whispered, "The temple has shown me something, a vision of what's coming." Torin's arms tightened around her. "Good news or bad?" She answered, "Governor Vex has deployed his flagship. He's bringing something called the Void Engine, technology built from the essence of my captured sisters." Her voice trembled. "He'll be here by tomorrow's nightfall." "Then we leave at dawn," Torin said decisively. "My ship's repaired enough for atmospheric flight. We can—" "No." Lyra rose onto one elbow, her expression solemn in the pulsing light. "Running isn't an option anymore. The temple has awakened something in me, potential my people had forgotten. But to access it fully," she hesitated,
I would need you, your essence joined with mine. It's dangerous, and I won't force such a choice on you." Torrin looked up at her, this violet-skinned woman who had crashed into his carefully constructed solitude and shattered it beyond repair. In her eyes, he saw not just desire or even affection, but a recognition so profound it shook the foundations of his being. "I stopped running the moment I helped you," he said quietly. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Outside the temple, the first light of dawn crept across the crystal desert, heralding a day that would change everything.
Beyond the stars. The collision of energies created a sound beyond hearing, a fundamental note that vibrated through bone and soul. Governor Vex's troops dropped their weapons, clutching their heads in agony. The smaller ships spiraled out of control, pilots incapacitated by the psychic backlash. Vex himself stood transfixed, cybernetic implants shorting out as the wave passed through him. "What have you done?" he screamed, voice distorted by failing technology. Torrin and Lyra remained still at the center of the maelstrom, their joined consciousness reaching into the void engine, finding the trapped essences of Lyra's people, fragmented, tortured, but not destroyed. "We see you," they spoke in unison, their voices harmonizing in impossible ways. "We free you." The engine began to unravel, not exploding but dissolving as the captured essences responded to the call of the kin. Streams of light, each a distinct consciousness, flowed from the machine like rivers returning to the sea, spiraling around Torrin and Lyra before ascending toward the stars. Vex's flagship, deprived of its power source, listed dangerously. Systems failed in cascading sequence, the massive vessel groaning as structural integrity compromised. Escape pods ejected in all directions, the smart ones fleeing while they could. "This isn't possible," Vex snarled, staggering toward them even as his cybernetic limbs failed. "You're nothing, a laboratory specimen and a deserter." "We are the balance," they responded, not in anger, but with the calm certainty of natural law. "And you have existed in defiance of it for too long." With a gesture that seemed almost gentle, they directed a tendril of energy toward the governor. It wrapped around him like a living thing, lifting him from his feet. Within the energy, Vex sought truth, the consequences of his actions, the pain he had caused, the cosmic order he had violated. His mind, unable to bear the weight of such understanding, simply stopped. When he fell to the ground, he was breathing but empty. Consciousness retreated to the most basic functions, all memory of power and ambition erased. The flagship crashed beyond the temple, a twisted monument to hubris. Smaller ships retreated into the atmosphere, carrying tales of forces beyond comprehension. The void seas receded, calmed by the restoration of balance. In the aftermath, Torrin and Lyra stood in perfect stillness, their joined consciousness slowly separating into distinct but forever connected beings. The patterns on their skin settled into complementary designs, evidence of their bond that would never fade. "It's done," Lyra whispered, her voice her own again, though carrying echoes of their union. "My people are free." Torrin took a shuddering breath, readjusting to the limitations of individual awareness after experiencing cosmic consciousness. "Where did they go?" he asked. She said, "Home, to the spaces between stars where we first emerged. They'll heal there, rebuild." He looked around at the temple, at the crashed flagship, at the vast emptiness stretching in all directions. "And what about us? Where do we go?" Lyra's smile contained universes. "That's the beauty of it, isn't it? For the first time, I can choose. We can choose." The horizon's edge waited where they had left it, systems powered up and ready for flight. As they approached, Torrin felt a strange lightness. The weight of solitude finally lifted from his shoulders. "I've never had a co-pilot before," he said as they boarded. "Might take some getting used to." "I've never had freedom before," she countered, trailing violet fingers along the ship's controls. "We'll learn together." They lifted off as the sun set, the crystalline desert below fracturing the fading light into countless colors. Through their bond, Torrin sensed the vastness of possibilities stretching before them, worlds to explore,
wrongs to right, moments of beauty to witness. For a man who had spent his life running from connection, the future suddenly seemed like a gift rather than a burden. In the cockpit, Lyra programmed a course that would take them beyond the reach of colonial authorities to the uncharted regions where boundaries blurred and new beginnings waited. The navigation computer calculated the jump to hyperspace, stars elongating around them as reality shifted. "Tell me," Torin asked as the ship accelerated toward the unknown, "in all that cosmic awareness we shared, did you happen to see what becomes of us?" Lyra's twilight eyes held both mystery and promise. "I saw many possibilities, many paths, some beautiful, some difficult, all of them together." "Together," he repeated, the word no longer frightening, but full of potential. "I think I can live with that." She leaned against him as the stars streaked past, her violet skin glowing softly in the darkness of space. The patterns that marked them both pulsed in perfect synchronization, a visual representation of hearts beating as one. They had begun as captor and captive, evolved to rescuer and rescued, transcended to cosmic vessels. But in the end, they had become something far simpler and more profound. Companions choosing each other's company across the infinite expanse of existence. As Horizon's Edge vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the wreckage of empires and the ghosts of pain, a new constellation formed in the skies of Helios 12. Stars arranged in patterns that matched those on the skin of two beings who had found in each other what the universe had long denied them. Not just freedom from, freedom with.